Pete Mendillo.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir.
Very much.
Thanks for making the drive to Hernando. I know it's a hike for a lot of you guys.
Not to do this. You guys are friends, man.
You are up in the Bartlett area, right?
I am now, yes.
Okay.
My wife, Carolyn, just moved from Cordova to Bartlett.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
It is. And it's a nice jump. It's real quiet. There's no moto racing through the area. It's really quiet. I got a fishing pond in the back of my yard. If I'm not playing, I'm out back with a fishing pole and just doing my thing. So,
If you're not playing, you play a lot.
It's been a tough 2 weeks. I'm blessed to have the work that I'm getting.
Well, we're definitely going to dig into as much history as we can.
Cool.
But
and we know you're going on short sleep right now. You had a gig last night with Area 51 at Hadley's.
Yep.
Yes.
So we record on Sundays. So you had a Saturday night at Hadley's. How did it go?
It was good. We had a lot of people, and we always have fun at Hadley's. It's kind of like a family atmosphere there.
Yeah.
And I played there with a lot of different bands. So now that this band it took 4 years for this band to really start getting legs. Because that's what happens when you put a new band together, as you guys know. It takes time.
Yeah.
And we're really starting to catch our stride a little bit.
What's wild about that is some good names in that band.
Josh Haynes,
some really
David
good
Haynes.
And even then, it took you guys a few minutes to...
It did.
Wow.
It really did. It takes time to cultivate it and just to build a following.
So what you're saying is that it's a good thing we started doing a podcast because we're probably not going to be playing a whole lot of gigs.
No, you guys are doing great, I hear. So.
Yeah. No, I've had a good run.
Yeah.
I'm a little exhausted from the travel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And this is my business, so this is my passion.
It's a great place. It's a great venue.
So I finally saw Area 51 with Jeff and his beautiful wife, wonderful wife, Susan.
Yep.
We went out and had a dinner and caught a couple sets from Area 51.
That's right.
Me and Jeff have talked about this before, and we're getting better at getting out. But the bar scene just isn't me, so it's hard for me to get out, and I don't drink anymore. And,
nope, me either.
But we're like, let's go to Dan McGinnis. Hadn't been there in years.
Yeah.
And let's check out Area 51. And man, did not disappoint. It was,
thank you.
All the press and publicity that you guys get is spot on. I mean, it's just the set list y'all play and how you play each song well through different eras, and Josh's tones match the songs and everything. It was remarkable.
We work really hard. We rehearse a lot, and that's a big secret that
well, most cover bands don't.
No, it's like they show up, throw their stuff in a corner, and count off.
Yeah. So you guys rehearse weekly?
We used to. We kind of backed off only because of just everybody's kind of going in different directions. Everyone has a day gig except for me, and I'm the one that, really everybody wants to rehearse, but we had to take a lot of time off. But we talked about it last night. It's time to get in and start learning new material, because I've been playing some of these songs for 20 years, the Boston, all that stuff. Yeah. I'm tired.
Yeah. My request will always be Sledgehammer. You guys crush.
That was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Sledgehammer.
Thanks. It's a fun song to play.
Who's your keyboard player?
David Haynes.
So
brilliant keyboard player.
He just brings it. The fact that you have him, you can play Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer, and it just sounds like the record.
And he gets most keyboard players, when they try to get horn tones on a keyboard player, they sound like Casio. David makes it sound like Tower Power.
Yeah.
He really does. He's just got a really great ear for tuning stuff in. He's a great player.
It just adds that layer.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you wanted to ask Pete something, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna. I kind of like to start chronologically.
Sure.
When did you start playing? Is the first question, and I'll give you a double barrel. And then, what brought you to the Memphis area once you played and got established? Why did you come here?
Okay. There were kind of two spots in my life when I was a kid. When I was very young, 4 years old, I heard two songs that were instrumental in getting me to here. One was Whole Lotta Love by Zeppelin, and that John Bonham break. That was just 4 years old. I was just crushed. And believe it or not, a song called You Drive Me Nervous by Alice Cooper.
Okay.
Which was absolutely just the angst that came from that record.
Early Alice, original band Alice.
It was the 1971 Killer record.
That's definitely, wow, I can't believe they've been around that long.
Yeah, he's been doing it for almost 60 years. Unbelievable. Wow. He's just had that staying
power. And still tours like a maniac.
Yeah, 71 years old, and he's still kills it every
and
night.
brings the best musicians into his band.
Yeah, I just saw him here with Glenn Sobel playing drums.
Oh God!
You want to see a monster on drums? That
Yeah.
guy is unbelievable.
He's unreal.
He is.
People want to play for Alice Cooper. It's like a rite of passage.
I wanted that gig for years, but the only thing I actually sent a resume in to Ryan Roxy, who's his guitar player now, and he sent something back saying, "Man, you've got the chops to do it. You just don't have the image."
Yeah,
and that's been my downfall since I'm not an image conscious musician, even though I like image conscious music. Yeah, I'm just not that. I just never.
I've always had that on my side, right, Jeff?
Yeah. You and I both were just such. No, I'm the exact same way. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But I will say this: it doesn't seem like it's hurt your career.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate
you've been a
that.
very busy guy.
I made it work for me. I took the ball and ran with it, and I finally got something out of it.
Yeah. My big hit was vocals. I can't sing at all. It's just not in the cards for me. So I've lost opportunities that needed a bass player that needed to throw in some harmonies and maybe do a couple leads.
Yeah.
Not your guy. Sorry. Yeah.
But there's room for players that don't sing that can get a great career out of it.
So,
and then what brought you to Memphis? What led you here?
I was in Savoy Brown, and that was 2 years. And I just wanted something different, so I left. And in 1994, I got a phone call from my friend Gary Davenport, who's not in Memphis anymore, but he was in a band with Tim Dills and Jimmy Bridges.
Okay.
And they were putting something together, and he goes, "You got to come down here. This is the band for you." And I was like, "Man, going through a divorce, I can't. So they called and called and called, and they finally got me a ticket to come down.
And from New York?
From New York, upstate New York, central New York. And I got the ticket, and I left a message. My mother always kids me about this. I left a message on my machine saying, "Hi, this is Pete. I'm going to Memphis for a week. I'll be back." Beep. I left, and I never went home. Never went home.
What year was this again?
1994.
94.
And I met Tim and Jimmy, and we started the band Civil War, and we tried to get a deal. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. And we just kind of went our separate ways.
Right.
Tim's doing great. Jimmy's doing great. I hope Jimmy does one of these because he's got a ton
Jimmy
of
who?
Jimmy Bridges, guitar player.
Okay.
We'll have to make note of that.
Put him on the list.
He's really important in Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make a note of that right now. Jimmy, if hopefully Jimmy's watching.
Yeah. So
Bridges.
I did that, and that didn't pan out. So I just started playing on Beale Street. I went to the library and got all this blues and shuffle music, and because I knew if I was going to I had to make a living. So I went to Beale Street and learned all the shuffles and everything because you can't go to Beale Street without being prepared. You just can't.
Right.
And I played with Blind Mississippi Morris, the Willies, Ruby Wilson, just a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then one day, my wife and I she was my fiance at the time. We were fixing up our house, and I get a phone call from Jeff Adams.
Okay.
He goes, "Hey, Pete, this is Jeff Adams." I said, "Hey, man, I know you." He goes, "We're losing our drummer. Do you want to come in?" I said, "What band?" He goes, "Survivor."
Good. That bridges us to where we wanted to go with this too.
I'm too busy, Jeff. I can't come do something.
And you're like, "Call
who's
me
that?"
tomorrow." But I was shocked because I knew about Jimmy even before he moved here.
Yeah.
He was the voice of Baywatch, Survivor, Cobra. And when I got that call, I was really just excited. Beyond.
How were you on their radar?
Apparently, Buddy Davis saw me play.
Who
Buddy Davis is the original guitar player for the band called Target.
Yep.
And he threw me to Jimmy, and then Jimmy had Jeff call me. They sent me a live tape, and I shedded on it for weeks. And I finally got to do the audition. And Dave Morshak plays into the story because he owned that studio.
Okay.
And I get there, and I'm setting up, and Chris Adamson was the guitar player, Jeff, and me. And it was just the three of us. Hal Butler, the keyboard player, wasn't there at the time. So we went and we played all the songs, and they went, "Jimmy's going to love you." And I was like, thank God. So Jimmy and Hal came in, and Jimmy saw how nervous I was. He could read it.
Sure.
Because I was starstruck. That was Jimi Jamison.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So he saw how nervous I was. So we didn't even do one of the rockers first. He wanted to do a ballad. He wanted to find out what kind of ballad player I was.
Here you are, all tense and amped up.
Sweating. And he saw it. He read it. So he goes, we'll do In Good Faith, which is on 1 Second's Count.
Okay.
Survivor. And him knowing how nervous I was, he decided to sing that song like Popeye. He sang the whole song because he's known for being a Popeye, imitator.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Well, not professionally, but
sure.
it's just
In
one of those
circles.
That's
hey,
what he
Jimmy,
did.
do Popeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he saw how nervous I was, he did that, and that immediately broke the ice.
I bet.
Because hearing that voice coming from that monitor, it's almost surreal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's you're hearing that voice. It's like, my gosh. So that broke the ice. We went through the whole set, and I got the gig.
And I never got to meet Jimmy. I talked to you one time. I remember this conversation before he died, and I'd found out you had played for him. Mm-hmm. And you said, well, yeah, if we go out sometime, man, I'll introduce you to him. And I was like, I really wanted to make that happen, and then he passed.
Yeah.
But that story to me says so much about him as a person and his character.
Yep.
Because a lot of guys just wouldn't have given a damn how nervous you were.
Nope.
And you just screwed it up, and they'd have said, okay, next. But for him to come in and do that and try and loosen you up and give you that opportunity is pretty awesome.
That's the kind of guy Jimmy was.
Yeah.
He'd give his shirt off. I know everyone says that. But he'd give his shirt off his back to make you feel comfortable. If you needed anything, Jimmy was just that guy.
Yeah.
He was just one of the kindest guys in the world, man. He was
That's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, me and Jeff want to do some kind of tribute to him and interview a bunch of people about him.
That
put
would be
like
great.
a collage together.
Yeah.
Get his wife.
Definitely in the works. Yeah, I want to make that happen.
But so how long was your run with him? Because it bridged to his solo career too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did a lot of work with Jimmy on and off for 18 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did some of the singers gigs with him. Daryl Verduzco, the drummer for Starship, mainly did them. But Jimmy would go off and do other ones, and he would bring me in. Mm-hmm. So I got to meet and play with. Man, there's so many, and I hate saying this because sometimes I feel like I'm bragging, and I don't mean to.
Not at all, man.
John Cafferty, Mike Reno from Loverboy, just all the 80s guys, and I got to drum behind them, and it was just a great learning experience. Jimmy always gave me that, if I can help you, I'm going to do it.
That's great.
He was always really good to me.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And he is not, by a long shot, not the only professional touring experience you've had. You have had a ton of national acts that you've played for.
I have.
Feel free to tell us about those. I'll mention them, or you can mention them. It's up to you. If you want to just tell us what sticks out in your mind the most after Jimmy. Jimmy would be my first.
He is. I mean, I've been blessed to play with a lot of brilliant singers. Brian Howe was one of them from Bad Company.
Yep.
Joe Lynn Turner from Rainbow Deep Purple.
Come on.
Another.
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Exactly. Derek St. Holmes.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I saw Ted Nugent in your bio.
Mm-hmm. I never played with Ted.
So that was the connection.
That was the connection with Derek St. Holmes.
I want to talk about Derek St. Holmes.
Yeah.
Man. The unspoken hero. Everyone thinks Ted sings Stranglehold.
Right.
Yeah.
And man, Derek St. Holmes. And he was on this great documentary on Netflix.
Hired Gun.
Oh man,
it's amazing.
Good.
It's amazing.
So good.
Yeah. Did he tell you remember the story he told? Somebody came up and said, man, for you not singing these songs, you sang these songs really well. Because everyone thinks Ted's
he's like, damn it. Yeah. Well, in the behind the music, there's a moment where he's saying, like, there was a moment where he knew that it shifted to Ted. Because early on, it was, the Ted Nugent band, but it was sort of like more even appearance. Like, it was more of a team.
Yeah.
And when they got big and started touring, there was a moment on stage where he started singing and the spotlight left him and went to Ted.
Yeah.
And he wasn't in the spotlight while he's singing the lead on a song. And he's like, that's when I knew.
Yeah. Time to go.
It was just, this is never going to be.
Yeah. It's now the Ted Nugent show.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So, but, there's a lot of bands like that. Like Kenny Wayne Shepherd, I believe, is one where Kenny Wayne Shepherd is not the singer.
Yeah.
He's the guitar player.
Yes.
Who's the singer? I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know? But so you met and worked for Derek.
Yes,
St. Holmes.
many times.
What was that like?
Great. Derek is a true pro. If you learn his material and you play it right, there's no problem.
Yeah.
He wants you to be a pro.
Yeah.
And he's a stickler. He wants it right. And other than that, he's a brilliant player and he's a brilliant singer and he's real easy to work with. Bobby Kimball was another one from Toto.
Oh, yeah.
And he was great to play with. So like I said, I've been really blessed
Yeah.
to be able to play with these
You've
people.
been in the mix with so many people.
Brad Whitford.
Brad Whitford from Aerosmith.
What was that like?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
He came up to me after we got done playing. And for him, he didn't even have to do this. I was signing a waiver because we were doing a video for it was for this guitar player. I'm so tired. Dick Wagner. We were doing a show in Detroit.
Okay.
And it was Dick had just passed away. So Dick had played with Alice Cooper, Aerosmith. He was a key songwriter to all these great songs that these people had.
Yeah.
But not too many people knew who he was. When he passed away, we did a big thing for him, and Derek was on, Brad was on the gig, Brad Whitford.
Right.
And we finished sound check, and he walked up and he goes, "Man, you sound great." And just for those words, for someone like him to say that meant a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because he didn't have to say that. So
That's awesome.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
But man, he's like, but your image, man. Sorry, you got to bring.
Yeah, you're fired. You don't look like Joey Kramer.
Yeah.
So I'm dying to talk about this with you, Pete.
Yeah.
Ever since I knew that you were going to come on this show, I was like, I got to bring this up. So when me and Jeff went to Dan McGinnis, I lied, or it wasn't our first time meeting.
Okay.
I actually met you back in 2006 at the Horseshoe Casino. I was at the time living in Nashville, so Tunica was on the road for me, and I was in a band called Buck Wild, which turned into
remember that band,
which turned into Danica.
Yeah.
Terry McIntyre on guitar. I don't know if you knew him.
I remember, yeah.
So I joined them in 2006 and quickly got introduced to the casino circuit, and it was great, and I loved it. And it had a 5-year run, full-time casino. But anyways, you know how they used to have shifts back then, in the good old days, 7 days a week, 3 shifts. You came after us one night, or 1 week. There was a week. That was the billing for the week.
Right.
And you played in this band that played a bunch of like British rock, and the lead singer was a bass player.
Beat Generation, Rick Nethery.
Yes. I loved you guys.
That was a fun band.
Oh, and you guys brought energy on that crappy little behind the bar stage at the Horseshoe, no sound, but I remember you guys just, I loved you guys. And for years, and then after you guys played, I introduced myself. You were sitting on a penny slot, and and it was like, hey, good job. And
so you were supposed to lie right there and say it was like a $10 slot.
You cussed me out for something.
I must have lost my shirt or something.
No, I don't think you were playing. It was you and someone else in the band.
I was probably smoking. I was probably,
And you looked tired too. You just played a full set, and you were playing the third shift, I believe. So by the time
it was late night.
Yeah, by the time you were done, it was
I was whooped.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Tell me more about that band. I just loved the set list. You guys played awesome. It was great.
Rick had the energy. He believed in everything he did.
And that's the bass player, singer.
Rick Nethery he was the founding member. He really carried the torch for British invasion. Yeah. And he believed in everything he did. And he's another one of these guys that wanted it right. If you were going to play Mercy Beat, which is like a Beatles type, you had to play it right, or he'd let you know.
Yeah.
And that's what made his band so good, is because he tried to get people that cared about what they did as much as he did.
Yeah.
And that really helps. It really makes a difference when you have people that are keen on doing the gig rather than just collecting that check.
Did you guys ever get told to turn down?
All the time.
I was going to say, because the night
with me and the band, they hated me. Yeah. Not the band, but
I must have caught you on a good night where the pit bosses didn't really care as much, or there was less blue hairs at the penny slots, because you guys were bringing it.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was really good. Oh, we've had some moments there where they're like kept telling us to turn down.
Like, yeah.
That's usually daytime. Nighttime, you could really kind of dig in a little bit more.
Yeah.
And, sometimes they get on you, but daytime you had to play. I played with brushes during the daytime just to get through it.
So how long did that band last? What was the run for that?
I played with Rick probably 4 years.
Yeah. While playing with others? Were you just kind of mixing it up?
I was at that time playing in 2 different bands. One was Beat Generation, and the other one was a band called Big Fish with Andy Tate.
Okay.
And Louis Meek and Steve Corbett.
Okay.
And
Steve Corbett.
Great guitar player.
Okay.
Great guitar player. And it was a fun band. We do classic rock and whatever.
There's no shortage of awesome musicians in this city,
in this town. It's everyone talks about LA and Nashville. I've been to both places, and Memphis holds its own, bar none.
Well, I kind of already knew this, but now I'm really learning this because of this podcast, how well knit Memphis is. Nashville is huge. I mean, it's the place to go if you want to, get some good work and touring stuff. It's definitely, it's got its place and its benefits and everything, but you're lost in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're just a little minnow.
Yeah. And there's so many people that gravitated toward there that is so, I don't want to say watered down because everyone's a brilliant musician there, but you're right. It's just, once you get there, you better it's they call it a 5-year town. If you don't make it in 5 years on your bike,
head back where you came from.
That's funny. You said I was there 5 years, but I got super lucky. I moved in October of 2005, and 2006 is when I joined up with Danica and Terry.
Oh, okay.
And did a 5-year run.
Yeah.
So it's like, what was weird though, is we were gone so much, like 45 weeks out of the year. Like we were full time.
Yeah.
So I never really totally dug into Nashville. I never tried to get on Broadway. I did a few things here and there by luck and chance.
Yeah.
Right.
But I never really dug in. And then when we'd have like a 3-week break, I'm like, I don't know anyone. I haven't networked. You have to network.
You really do.
Yeah. But I moved here because that ended. I had a kid out here, and then, okay, cool. Yeah. Now I'm in Memphis.
Well, you're in another right place.
Do you know Chip Edelman and Chip Doty from Mudflap King?
I know the name of the band. I don't know them, though.
They were my first job.
Wow.
Like gig and job. Like I came here with nothing. Like I moved over here with had to start all over, and those guys, they're going to be on here. They're good friends of mine. I love them.
That's a great band. I mean, if you were a part of that, then obviously I've never heard you play, but I mean, if you're a part of that scene, then
it was fun. Do it. Yeah, it was good stuff. Do you know? You must know Jeff Houghton.
Yes,
and Rachel Houghton.
Yeah,
I played with them after
the Green Machine.
After
that.
They were Paul's party crew.
Oh, wow.
And we did a lot of cool functions and stuff. Yeah. And then we did a Mulligans here and there. So Rachel was awesome to work for.
And Jeff's in Florida now, isn't he?
Yeah. And so is she, different times. And, I don't want to get into their personal matters here. But they were fun. You know?
Jeff's a great player. Yeah. He really is. He's a monster player.
Yeah, I got to play with him a few times in the Dantones.
In the Dantones,
just sitting in with that, and that was Jeff's just a great player.
He's a shredding.
That whole band was great. Yeah. I enjoyed the few times I got to do that.
Yeah.
So tell us, Pete, you are a Grammy-nominated drummer.
That's true.
That's pretty incredible. And we want to talk about that.
Okay.
So it was Bobby Rush?
Bobby Rush down in Louisiana, 2012 or 13. I'm sorry, I can't remember the date because the time I was sleeping and the producer / keyboard player, Paul Brown, who played with Bobby at that time, and he kind of still does. I got a phone call at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I pick it up, and it's Paul Brown, and he's, hey, man, what's going on? Because that's how he talks. And he goes, you're nominated for a Grammy. And I just sat there and I was half asleep and I went, great, let me call you back. And I lay back down and it was like out of a TV sitcom. I just went,
what did he just say?
What? So I got my act together and I called him back. He goes, yeah, we're nominated, the whole band.
That's awesome.
And Bobby made it clear that if anything happened with that band, he was going to spread it out.
That's great.
It was umbrellaed that if he got nominated, if he got anything out of it, it was a band.
Right.
And that's how that happened.
And what was the name of the album?
Down in Louisiana.
Down in Louisiana.
And when you said Down in Louisiana, originally I thought you meant he lived down there.
No, that was the name of the record. Yeah.
Bobby Rush, Down in Louisiana. I assumed, okay, you guys were down there on Bourbon Street.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, the funny thing is, I just had gotten in, I played with a country artist that was on Capitol named Troy Olson. And I had just come off a tour, and my cases were at Paul Brown's house, the producer for Bobby. And I'm dead dog tired. I would just want to go back home. I got a 3-hour ride, and he goes, hey, man, I got a favor to ask of you. We've got this thing in the can, but we got to redo all the drums. Can you set up now and play? I was like, yeah, I guess I can. So I go in, I'm dead dog tired. I set the drums up, and we spent the whole night on the floor just cutting the record. And the tracks were already pre-done. And I just went in and just recorded every drum track within 12 hours.
Wow.
So all the rhythm, guitars, and bass,
vocals, everything
done.
was all done.
They just needed you to
just play to the tracks, and that's how they recorded them.
That must have been a fun experience.
That was. And as tired as I was, I mean, Paul saw it in my eyes that I was getting kind of loopy. So he goes, let's take this. Let's stop for now, and we'll come back tomorrow. And in a 12-hour period, 6 one day, 6 the next, we got them done.
So did you guys go to the Grammys?
He did, but you have to pay to go. And that's a lot of money. You have to fly yourself out there. You got to buy your own table.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
Hey, congratulations. You owe us $30,000.
Yeah. Here's your table.
Yeah.
You don't get nothing. It's like a $50,000 meal.
Right.
So,
Man.
I'm kidding. But
So who, this is going to sound awful, but who did you lose to? Like, what was the category?
Best blues record.
Blues record.
And Ben,
You put him on the spot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Ben Harper?
Ben Harper.
Okay.
well,
thank you.
Good recovery.
Yeah. Thank you for saving me. On that.
You're welcome.
Ben Harper won.
Well, yeah.
And he should have, because it was a great record.
Yeah. And he's a pretty big artist.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
But the year after, Bobby Rush won Grammy for Porcupine Meat.
And you weren't on it.
We weren't on it.
Dang it. You're like,
So,
yeah.
Well, anyone listening or watching, check out Bobby Rush down in Louisiana.
Yeah.
You can hear Pete Mendillo playing drums.
Okay. Audible, Jeff.
Audible.
Just thought of this.
Okay.
Because we're talking Grammy.
Yeah.
This is making me think of Mark Goodman.
I just thought of that. Myself.
And you brought him up at Dan McGuinness.
Yep.
We loved Mark. I loved that man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate to do some stuff in his studio with him, but he also became a friend, and we would meet for lunch, and he was just supportive of us. And I'd love to hear a Mark Goodman story from you, or anything you'd like to say about Mark, because I truly just thought the world of that guy.
Without getting overly maudlin about it, Mark was like a dad to me.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
He has that vibe.
He does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I needed counsel, he was the first one I called.
That's awesome.
And millions of one-liners.
Right.
Just a plethora.
Yeah, he should have been a stand-up comedian, but he was too good at the music industry, so he didn't need to do that.
Of course, you think of these things after someone passes, which anyone that doesn't know, I have to always remind myself, a large part of my audience on my YouTube channel has no idea.
Right.
They're not from Memphis.
We're educating them.
Mark Goodman was a Grammy Award-winning producer he won twice in the Christian rock world, right?
Yeah.
And
then,
then
also, I think, for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes. And worked with these amazing people,
Yeah,
just a staple in Memphis. Had some
Yngwie
form
Malmsteen as well.
Oh, I had no idea.
I had no idea that either.
He had some amazing stories about him that I really can't tell.
I'm sure. So just a great career. Always had some studio going in Memphis, and it's a great guy. And he was so funny.
Yeah, he was hilarious.
So funny. And so, of course, he passes. And I wish I could have done this, but now I wish. Every time I hung out with him and he said something funny, I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would have been like a good part of his eulogy when they did his eulogy at Neil's. Someone going up there and be like, all right, here's 50 jokes I heard from Mark, and they're all killer. Like, the things he would just come out with, these one-liners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was he was just hilarious, a great guy. I mean, he helped us. He cut the first Area 51 demo, and when he passed, we didn't get the tracks because by the time we were going in to find the tracks, the computers were already gone.
Yeah.
So they were gone.
Right.
So we didn't get to put something out saying produced by Mark Goodman, which bums me out. But
Yeah.
Well, when we decided to do this podcast, your name was the first one I brought up for an interview.
Thank you.
There's multiple reasons for that, but one of the big reasons is because of all the help that you gave me as an up-and-coming drummer and the confidence you gave me when you came to hear me play. And the only reason I bring that up is because I transitioned it to Mark. When we went into his studio, the guy made me feel so comfortable, and he told me that I was a great player, and I didn't feel like I was a great player.
I didn't know he was a liar.
He made a lot of stuff up on the fly. But when you hear that from somebody, and right behind them is that little statue from the Grammys sitting there, you're like, okay, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's telling me I'm good, so I'm going to play like I know what I'm doing. And it came across that way. So
and it goes to tape that way.
Yeah, it does. And
he's all about capturing a moment.
Yes.
He's old school.
Yep.
He's old school.
Yeah, well, having you here, that was the reason I wanted you here, because I've learned so much from you as a drummer.
Oh, well, thank you.
And the confidence you gave me to get out there and do it is
when I first heard you play, I was like, one, your tempo is almost perfect.
Right. Well, thank you.
It's the truth. And when you learned a song, you learned it right.
Yeah.
You put the elbow grease in.
Well,
and I just knew it was a matter of time before somebody was going to pick you.
Yeah. Well, when you hear somebody like Pete Mendillo, who's played with Jimi Jamison and Brian Howe and all these guys, you better learn the material. You learn it the way you're supposed to learn it.
Right.
And I learned that from you, and it's been a huge
I'm
help.
glad I could impart that on you.
Yep.
I really am.
There was a couple moments when we started playing with Derek Joseph.
Yep.
This new run we've been on, and I remember you coming to me. He's like, "Man, I had lunch with Pete. I just needed to talk because there was a little stress going on there."
For sure.
And so he went to you as a mentor.
Yep.
So I even know.
I was glad to help because I've
you.
been in that position, and I'm not going to say with who.
Yeah.
But you can't let people get inside your head.
Yeah. Well, I let me get inside my head.
You can. If you live inside your own head to begin with, it's a tough business to be in.
And
I didn't help, Jeff.
You know what? I've gotten over you.
Me and Jeff are going to have like therapy sessions on mic. We're best friends. We love playing with each other, but I'm the brutally honest guy, and sometimes can sting.
It's tough.
Well, it's fun, but it's got to be business too.
Yeah.
It's got to be right. It has to be.
Well, this summer was my first time playing to a click track live, and that's been a challenge. But once I got past it, it's
that was the bugaboo.
Oh, it was.
That was really getting in your head when then he needed to talk to you. Was click track, and that's a Nashville thing. Everyone, that's what Derek Joseph brings. I'm used to it.
Yep.
I mean,
I play to one now.
Yeah.
I play church. I play drums for the Lindenwood Wide Open Worship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got a click track right there.
Yeah.
And the thing I try to impart on him is just use it as another player.
Yeah.
Don't even think about. Just think about the 2 and the 4. Don't think about every beat.
Yeah.
And I remember when we talked about all that.
So do you run a click with Area 51?
I used to. I don't anymore because I want it to be more freeform. I want it to breathe a little bit.
And by now, you guys obviously know the songs.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But it's I have a tendency in my older age. I used to push a little bit. Now I'm pulling because I'm getting older and I want to lay back in that pocket a little bit more.
If you're going to go in one direction, pulling's the right way to go.
Yeah,
for sure.
When I was a kid, I used to rush like a mad dog because it's just the adrenaline. You're young. You want to show everybody what you can do.
Yep.
And I had the bass player, Lou Kaplan, from a band I was in called Mad Jack in upstate New York. He just pulled me aside. He goes, "Look, get rid of the beer. Don't smoke. And stop doing shots." Okay, that's sound advice. And when I did that, my playing kind of came together.
Wow, go figure.
Yeah.
To go back to my casino band, do you know Steve Johnson?
Guitar player plays with Rob Cottle.
No, Steve Johnson, the drummer.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I want to talk about Rob Cottle.
Yeah.
By the way. I'm glad you mentioned that.
We can, yeah.
The reason why I'm going back to that is great. Like, he was a pro drummer. I mean, he years of experience. And then, my greenhorn ass, because I went from Maine. I'm from Maine. And I went from maybe playing 1 gig a month for $50.
Yeah. Jumped
into Nashville and got my ass handed to me in this casino world every night, 5 nights a week, learn 100 songs. And, and I would love to go back and play with Steve how I am now after 20 years of experience. Because now I'm like, he must have been like,
right.
Derek's pushing, Derek's pulling. There's all, I'm sure at the time I thought I was doing good, but years later I was like, no, I was definitely green. I was playing green, and Steve was very cool. Steve never made me feel bad.
Yeah, which is good.
So, but I know for a fact I had to have been the bass player for him. That's like, Derek's not hitting my kick.
Well, we all come from Green Acres, man. We all came from that.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you go, it's nice to look back and go, I played like that, but now look where I am now.
Yeah.
You see that difference, and you feel
it's just
better about
reps
it.
And just playing and playing.
That's it.
Rob Cottle.
Okay.
Great guy, great singer. He does the Rod Stewart better than anybody.
Yeah, so killer Rod Stewart. tribute act. Again, my casino years, I saw him play at the Pearl River Resort at the Silver Star Casino.
Okay.
A few times. And when I saw that you played with him, I was like, what? And I didn't know he was still doing it.
Yeah.
And then he played at Neil's recently.
I was on that gig.
So is he from this area? Or was he touring through?
He lives in Nashville, and I think he has like Wolfman Jack Productions booking him. He's got a lot of different people that book him, so he works all over the country.
Yeah, he's a hot commodity.
He is.
He's really good.
Well, tell us who's in that band when you play it with it. Who's in there with you? I know isn't
Dave Smith
monster
on bass, brilliant bass player.
Yep.
Steve Johnston on guitar. Hal Butler was playing keyboards.
Oh, wow.
Hal was the guy that played keys for Target.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, Creed, Southern Creed. And a new sax player that had just done his first gig that night. I'm sorry, brother.
That happens.
Yeah. Anyway.
We'll find out who that is and give him an honorable mention later.
Yes. And Rob and me.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
Does he like the Chuck Berry style where he tours himself and then has different bands in different areas?
Sometimes he does that.
Because he must have rolled into Memphis and just used you guys don't travel with him, right?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes he'll say, I got this gig in Florida. You want to come and do 3 days, and we'll all get on a plane.
So, but he must have just a plethora of musicians he pulls from.
Yeah, he does a Chuck Berry thing sometimes. Pieces the bands together.
Yeah.
And he comes through here pretty regularly.
Yeah, he's frequent when he comes through here because he only lives in Nashville. Okay. So.
Yeah, so when I saw that on Facebook,
that's a show we got to get to.
I was like, oh my God, he plays for Rob Cottle.
Yeah.
That's great. He's really good.
Yeah, he's very good.
We'll make it to one of those shows soon. Yeah. Well, all right, Area 51. We've chronologically come to the present.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing now.
That's what I'm doing.
Tell us who's in that band, what it's about, how it formed, and where you go from here.
Area 51 was born out of a band called The Lineup, which was David Kurtz, Dave Smith,
Love
me,
The Lineup,
Josh, and Kenny Long.
Yep.
That David Kurtz wanted to do his original project, so that band kind of faded out. So Josh and I said, let's keep this going. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
So we got David Haynes on keyboards, who's a brilliant keyboard player.
Yeah.
Josh Haynes on guitar, myself, and that's it. This is just Lance Binder.
Lance.
Oh, sorry, Lance. No, I'm so tired.
Well, the first thing that we noticed when we saw you guys live was Lance. He is a ball of energy.
He is Tigger on bass.
He is. He's the one that is the focal point.
Yeah,
because he's just so energetic.
Oh, it's
and he's
nonstop
monster bass.
And then during the set break, he's drinking coffee.
Yeah,
just what he needs.
Right.
And sometimes a Red Bull.
And we've talked about Area 51 on a couple of the episodes that we've already done. And we talked about it earlier, but the songs you guys do are not songs you hear every day by every cover band. And there's a reason for it, because they're very challenging vocally and instrumentally. Mm-hmm. And you're doing Boston, you're doing Styx
and Rush, and Yes.
Yeah.
And 3 strong vocals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You, Lance, and Josh.
Yeah.
Because you sing a couple solos.
I sing only one spot in a Starship song, but that's the only thing I've done. I don't really sing much anymore except for background vocals.
You're hitting some falsetto back there. That adds so much.
And you guys did We Built This City.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there and we looked at each other like, never heard this song covered in my life. You just killed it.
Well,
great job.
We're also playing Name That Song because you guys would kick into an intro and it's like, we know the music, but we never heard a live situation of the cover band. Like, what is this? And then it's like, we built this city.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
Whoa. You can't miss Sledgehammer. That was my favorite. That was the highlight of my time that I was there that night. We had to leave, third set or so.
And we did talk after we left that there was a couple of songs we would like to request, and I'm going to put you on the spot right here on the air, but we would love to hear some Huey Lewis. And you may have done it. We left early that night.
Yeah, we don't do it, but we have talked about it.
Walking on a Thin Line.
Walking on a Thin Line.
Yeah.
Jacob's Ladder.
Anything by Huey.
Yeah.
But
I love Huey's hits.
That's on the to-do list.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Any of those hits.
Yeah. Because we're trying to get danceable stuff back in. I mean, you can only do Roundabout by Yes for so many times. Can people start looking at you like, come on, we can't dance.
I missed that. You didn't play that. I would love to see you guys play that.
We pulled it out of the set list. We were doing Carnival number 9 by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to see some serious nasty looks when people are trying to dance, play that song. So we kind of pulled that out.
I forget what song it was. And I pointed this out to you, Jeff. It was always like these three ladies up there that they pushed through anything you guys were playing. They just they were moving.
Right.
And I can't
remember. They struggled on a couple of them.
And there was a song that had a break and I think even went to like an odd meter. It was just like very like jarring. And they were like, and this is a visual, but they were just they were slowed down to almost standing and looking like, come on. And then you went back into the chorus and then they're like, all right. And they got back in it. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But Roundabout, Chris Squire, that bass intro is any bass player. Yeah. Like I learned that years ago. It's always a fun guitar, bass line to play. Yeah. I would have loved to see you guys play it because I know Lance, of course I watch the bass player. He goes from finger to pick and he mixes it up. Oh my God. What song is it that he sings lead and slaps like a madman?
I think it's Peg by Steely Dan. He slaps and sings
that over that. So crazy that he can do both.
Yeah.
Like
it's pretty cool.
That was impressive. Yeah. I was like, wow, this guy's a monster. And doing it on a pogo stick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He's a ball of energy for sure.
So if you guys, if you're looking for a cover band to go see here in town, Area 51, find out where they are when they're there and check them out.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Pete.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And I say this to everyone. This is not a one and done kind of interview podcast.
Yes.
We want our friends to come back and reoccurring. And,
sure. I would love to.
Yeah, man, this is going to be fun. This is not the last time you're going to be on this podcast.
I felt really comfortable. I'm never comfortable talking about myself. Anybody who knows me knows that. And you guys made it real easy.
Awesome.
Well, it's good to know.
Yeah.
So now you get to hear our theme music.
Yeah.
You don't hear it on the front end because of the trickery editing that we do. But yeah, this is... I thought this had a Memphis feel to it.
Yeah.
I got it on YouTube Library. That way it's safe to use.
Sure.
And don't get demonetized.
Right.
But look, man. So call to action. Like, where can people find you? Facebook?
Yep. Area 51 Memphis.
On Facebook. Yep.
Any one of us. I mean, we all have our contact information there. So if you need to get in touch with anybody, you can do it there. And if you want to book us or say funny things to us, that's what you do it.
Cool. Jeff, why don't you give the podcast a push here too?
Yeah. Make sure you follow us on Facebook. It's the Rhythm Section Pod. Check out the YouTube channel, which is Derek Michaud channel. And I'm not going to spell it.
It's in the description.
It's there. Figure it out. And we're on Apple, iTunes, Spotify. We're everywhere.
And all the major audio platforms. Yeah. And we got to thank the audience too, and not only the audience, but people like Pete, Tim Dills,
everybody.
So far, we talked to Alan Bone, Steve Owens. Like
more coming.
Those are coming out, and if it wasn't for you guys willing to come on this show and do this stuff, it would be nothing. Like we tortured everyone for 3 episodes. And it was just me and Jeff. So we're finally starting to roll interviews. So it doesn't work without you guys. So again, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So I got to re-edit this song. It's not long enough. And we don't edit this stuff out. We keep the pimples in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, why not?
Well, I threw too many pimples in this one. So.
And as I said in the intro, this is brought to you by Shelby Road Productions and SLP Studios. If you are interested in starting a podcast, go to shelbyroadproductions.com to sign up for a free consultation. You'll be talking to me directly.
There it is.
And we'll figure it out. And also Patreon. Click our Patreon link in the description and sign up for the tip jar. It's $1 a month. If you can spare $1 a month, that'd go a long way to help.
Yeah, Derek gets a quarter. I get 75 cents.
That's right. Yeah. And in perpetuity, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, man. That's Jeff.
That's Derek.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Thanks,
Have a great day, everyone.
That's
Bye.
Pete.
Thanks, y'all.